So here's the one that I was pondering today. It's often the hesitation that kills you. The pre-thought of what it's going to be like more than actually doing the thing. So more often than not, I find, myself included, that we build this idea up in our head about, oh my God, this, filming content, working out, weighted walks, ice baths, whatever it may be, is going to be awful. And we build this concept up in our head of how bad it's going to be. And that's usually 1,000 times worse than the actual thing. It is all in our head when we build this thing of like, I don't want to do this stuff. This is awful. I don't enjoy it. It's uncomfortable, whatever it may be. Most of those thoughts are in our head, and then we amplify it to be worse than the actual experience is. Don't get me wrong. Ice baths are uncomfortable. Working extra hard isn't comfortable. Doing the things that we don't want to do isn't a comfortable, enjoyable thing. But the longer we hesitate to take that action, to step forward, the worse it gets, because we build it up in our mind of like how bad this thing is going to be. So the thing I recommend, and the thing I try and do, emphasis on the word try, I don't always nail it, but whenever there is something I don't want to do, when I've been dreading it, now I have to take action before I can let it build up. This moment, as soon as I think about it and I'm like, I don't want to do that. No, we're going now, because I need to break it before it breaks me. And I think that's a really big thing, that we have this thing and we build it up in our head. And there's this concept that I love that I don't even know where I got it from, but I've adopted it. And when you don't feel like it, the more you don't feel like doing something, the more you need to do it. And that's where I'm at the moment. It's pretty standard on any workout routine. Obviously, 126 to greatness is more intense than your average thing. But about that 30-day mark, that new shiny thing, the shine wears off. That just starting out thing wears off. And thankfully, on the back end of that, normally you start to see results kick in, so it becomes worthwhile. But all that, shiny and new motivation, exciting, here I am thing starts to wear off. And the other aspect is it starts to hurt, so that accumulation hurts a bit. From my weighted walks, my traps are a bit fucked at the moment. I'm tired. My joints ache a little bit. I'm a little bit under the weather. That's not the 30-day thing. That's a coincidence. I have young children. That just happens. But as I said earlier in the week, test week, I don't feel like doing this shit today. So what did I do today? I went harder than I fucking normally would. Started a new kettlebell workout and I jammed on that. We went so hardcore on it. And for something like I was using a 12 kilo kettlebell, I was drenched in sweat before that and then had to go straight into running sessions. And I was like, whoops, didn't plan that out well. But it felt amazing. I got to the end of it, like every second of that sucked. My body was screaming at me to, this is not what we're doing. And, I was like, no, we fucking are. I don't care what you say. I am doing this. Same with the walks. I got a new weight vest. 20 kilos. We're up to 20 kilos now. Oh, that was rough today. But when I got done, I felt amazing. And that's that sense of accomplishment. When there are those things that you don't want to do, you need to do them even more. And that's the stuff I keep talking about that purpose, that you as a man need a purpose, a mission, a drive. You need to be challenged. You need to go to war. You need those things. And this is part of it. So, I went to war with myself. I went to war with my mind and my body telling me, no, don't do this. And I fucking prevailed. And I felt amazing afterwards. I went to war with my body, on the walk. And I went to war on that mental discipline of this is what I'm going to do. And I had to keep pushing. I had to challenge myself to find that next level. Because not only did I up the weight, but I have to maintain the pace that I set on those walks. So I cover the same distance so that I'm not, reducing that down. Now, and then equaling out and ending up on the same level. Have to keep pushing forward. I need a purpose for this, to be strong enough, to fit enough, to do whatever I want with my children my grandchildren, my great grandchildren, and so on. The business side of this, I need to have a purpose because it builds out so that I can provide for my family, so that I can also live this blessed life that I know I am blessed with. And it's all of this, but you also need to step into your authenticity. And I think, and not even think, I know for a fact, doing something like this allows you to step into who you authentically are. And I cannot tell you what changes when you step into who you authentically are. Like where I am at the moment, like these videos, like what am I doing here? Who are they for? I don't know yet. I don't know what's happening with this. But I'm genuinely excited to sit down every night and make this content because this is me. This is truly who I am. This is who I've meant to be. This is who I've been denying for, I'm 32, 14 years. This is who I was meant to be when I was coming up and I was playing college basketball, when I was playing for New South Wales, when I was doing those things and I was pushing for that greatness. This was who I was meant to be, and I shied away because I'd been those things when I was younger, but I then lost that when, you made it a little bit. Not really, but like in your head and in that time, you're like, yeah, I fucking made it, and you lose sight of that stuff. And I never really regained it, but now I'm here, and this is who I am. This is who I'm meant to be. This purpose, this passion, this challenge, this war, these things, they light me up, and they're building onto each other. Like I'm excited to go to this. This doesn't feel like work. This doesn't feel like effort. This is joy. This is just me being me, sharing who I am, and that's the best part of it. And that's why I know that this is what I'm called to do. Because, there's no grind in that. Like the other work that I have to do, and I'm now transferring those skills across to that. I don't want to do that. That's a grind. It gets done because I said it will, and it builds that mental discipline muscle, which is great, but there's a grind on that. So I'm stepping into who I am and who I should be. And I love it. Like, can't tell you how much I enjoy it. That I go out of my way to write these workouts to be like, fuck, yes, that is going to fuck my world up. And that feels amazing to, make sure I make the right food choices, to push myself on the walks, to do those things, to do the ice bath, to do the sauna, to do the grounding. It is wet and miserable as sin. We have had the fire running for 4 days straight. I was out there, 20 minutes ago, standing barefoot in the grass because I didn't get an opportunity today. Today turned into another family day, which was amazing. But that's the reality of it. That when you coincide your passion, your purpose, your challenge, what you're going to war with authentically being you, that's when everything gets magical. And I spoke about it the other day, but things are just effortlessly flowing. Money is flowing. Opportunities are flowing. Growth is flowing. It just feels like the work is effortless because I'm not forcing it uphill. It doesn't mean it's not hard, but the ability to get in and do it is effortless. Effortless? Anyway. Because it's aligned. And I've been dabbling into these concepts for years of alignment and, only doing aligned work and finding the true alignment and vibrating at the highest level. But it's not until you authentically step into who you are that you find it. And I think, what's his name? Gary Brecker talks about this. The highest possible vibration that you can be is not love, it's not joy, it's not happiness, it's authenticity. And that's where I'm at. And it's like the universe has just gone, he's here. He's finally fucking made it. Let's go. And just allowing it. And that's the other thing of it. There is a fine line, and I think it's easier to balance that line when you're authentically you, of chasing the things you want, need, and desire, and surrendering to what the universe will provide. And yeah, that sounds woo woo as hell, but I've seen it all. I've seen the top tier people. I've met those people, and they are all living that kind of life. It is that alignment, and you have to do the law of action, but you don't force it. You do the work for the sake of the work, and then you surrender and allow what is going to be to flow to you. And that's just a happier, easier way to live. And I am there. And I've spent fucking years trying to get there. Like, yeah, years, like 5 or 6 years working on this idea of law of action, taking the action, doing the right things, and then surrendering to the universe. And I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I couldn't get to the space where I actually felt like I was in divine connection with that. But I can now because I'm authentically me. I found that thing. And it's about that, going to war. And it's also part of why I think I have something to share with the world, because I have these completely diametrically opposed concepts of, like, the grind, the effort, the work. It is about going to war and doing the work. It is about grinding and seeing how hard you can push yourself. It is 100% that. And then on the flip side, law of action, law of affirmation, law of attraction, those kinds of things, and surrendering to that. But the work side has to be done to allow this other side, and you have to authentically mix the two. I don't know. It's still something, all of this is still something that I'm working out as I go. That's why I'm sharing it here. But at the end of the day, even if nobody ever watches this here is for me. This allows me to get my thoughts out. And as I said, authentically lights me up to the things that I love and I enjoy and that excite me. And I look forward to coming here and seeing what I can share to on the end of each day than what I've been pondering. I'm getting a camera and I'm going to start doing the morning motivations because that's how much more it excites me. Whereas the previous stuff, I would drag out doing, 60-second Facebook videos because, I just didn't want to deal with that shit. I didn't want to have to put my head in that space because it takes a very certain type of mindset to be able to write for that and write for something that isn't right for you, to put your head into something else. And that's what they talk about, that you should create a product and market to you just 3 or 4 years earlier, because that's effortless. All you have to do is be you then. And that's not what I've done. I've built a very successful business doing stuff that isn't me. Like, I've been putting myself out there, and it's why it's always a grind, because it isn't me. I'm good at it. I'm fucking amazing at it. My clients love me. They keep coming back for more. I have a client who's coming up on 10 years. 10 years of personal training. I think I've made over $60,000 from them. Like, I am very good at what I do, but that is not authentically me. That is a mask. That is a shadow of the man I want to be, of who I'm trying to be, of what I'm trying to share with the world. And at the same time, I think the journey is part of it. I was talking to a friend about this the other day, that we had to go through what we went through to get here so that we could be here to share these things. And no, not all of that was sunshine and rainbows. My basketball career ended with, a torn MCL, a staph infection that left me nearly for dead, that I spent 2 weeks dying on a mate's couch, took, I think it was 78 hours to get home from Orlando, Florida to Sydney, New South Wales, nearly died on the plane, got rushed to the doctor, and was told that they're not sure how I survived. Took me, I don't know, 6 months to recover. Like, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. My dream had just been flushed down the toilet. Then I had an opportunity to go play in the NBL and had all lined up, had a house to move into, was ready to go. was organizing to move my stuff down to Wollongong. And to this day, I have no fucking clue what happened. I don't know why I didn't go. But subsequently, like a week later, I met my wife. We met, we hooked up, and we have basically been living together ever since. That was 11 years ago. Over 11 years ago. I was 21. Things align. You were meant to go on the journey you go on. You were meant to go through the hardships and the suffering because they lead to this. A few years back when my wife was pregnant with my daughter, our first child, I'm an incredibly fit man. I love fitness. Like, that is evident. And it's been my life since I was like 14 years old. And I just kept noticing that my heart wasn't beating right. Like, there was something off there. Like, I would walk up this slight incline and go, da-da-da-da-da. Like, it was insane, but like, I'm not working. And then other times, like, I'd be sprinting and wouldn't have the same level. Anyway, go see a heart specialist, all this kind of stuff, put on Holter monitor. He calls me in a panic and goes, call an ambulance, go to the nearest hospital right now. Like, right this second. My wife is 6 months pregnant with our daughter, and this is the prime fucking, like, middle of COVID. So she can't go with me. She can't go anywhere near me. I get rushed down to the Westmead Hospital, the big hospital. I'm there for 5 days. My wife has no idea what's happening because she can't come. I cannot have visitors. I'm there by myself. And we go through all these procedures. And, one of the ones was they stopped my heart to see what would happen and then started it again. But for some reason during that time, they didn't have the right drugs. So they asked me how adept I was at handling drugs. And I was like, well, generally drugs don't really affect me. So what was supposed to knock me out for 2 hours knocked me out for 24 hours. So my 6-month pregnant wife is losing her mind because, she can't get in contact with me. There's a risk that I have to sign a waiver that I could die. And then for 24 hours, she hears nothing. It's radio silence. But you go through these hardships. I honestly thought I was going to die. I thought this was it. Turns out that I have a abnormal heart pathway, and my heart randomly skips a beat occasionally. That's okay. That's just what it does. And then it'll catch up and do a double beat. But it sorts itself out. And then it's the flow-on effect, so they put me on beta blockers. I couldn't fucking get out of bed. I don't know how people function on that. I was not coping at all. So I went back and I was like, why am I on these? And they were like, just in case. Just in case of what? And I had to push them, and I had to push them, and I had to push them. Because they're like, well, we've got to be safe. And I was like, for what? And eventually they go, well, it's probably not going to be an issue until you're 70. But you got to be on them until then. I'm like, I am fucking 28 years old. Fuck that. There is zero chance I'm going to be on a drug that means I can barely function in life for, 40 odd years before it might, not even might become an issue. Just get regular heart checkups and we go from there. We go through these things. We were tested. My son was born 8 weeks early. My wife lived in the hospital for over 6 months with our son. I was basically a single dad for 6 months. And I don't know how we got through this time. Our son is beautiful. He is perfect. He is healthy. He is exceeding expectations, left, right, and center. But all of these things lead you to who you are now. And I had to learn these lessons. I had to live and hide this mask. I had to learn all the lessons. Because as I said, I had this wake-up call when I was 30. And I did the work. And I got fucking amazing results. It was insane. And I lost it all. I got complacent. We have to go through these journeys, and each one of these teaches you a new lesson. It teaches you mental toughness. It teaches you about what you value. It teaches you about what's truly important and what's not. But the journey is there for a reason. It's there to give you the tools for the next thing. Because the muse, the universe, guidance, God, whatever you want to call it, your soul, is whispering in your ear, just telling you what you need to know. It's calling you to your calling. God, that was a terrible sentence. Calling you to your calling. But it is. It's talking to you, telling you what you need to know, calling you to your greatness. Question is, are you listening? And it'll teach you these lessons and give you these wake-up calls until you fucking listen. And as I said, it's taken me a few go-arounds. I'm a bit stubborn. It takes me a while to really just accept these concepts, but I'm here now. And I can feel it. I can feel it in here. This dodgy pacemaker of mine that's going to carry me through to 120 plus years is calling me to this greatness. And I want to share it with the world. I want to change men's lives. I want to lead a movement and a revolution of men, of fathers, stepping into their power and being the men that they know they can and should be. That is what I am called to do. But for right now, I'm happy just to share these videos, just to do the fucking work, to thrive in that work. Because it lights me up in here, makes me the man I should be, and makes me excited every day to go after it. And that's the point. That's where I want to be in life. And if none of the rest comes to fruition, if I am not capable of succeeding in that mission, that is just this vision that's appearing in my head, so be it. Because this right here is greatness. Because it's the joy in the process. It's the satisfaction and the unbelievable happiness of doing the work. And there is nothing more fulfilling than that. And finding your purpose, finding your challenge, and going to war with yourself. So that is all I have for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this. Until next time.